What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen. I wasn't going to do it, sorry.
Don't want to hit him with a, it's a me. I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Also here with your weekly reminder. You're going to have to suffer through it really quick. May 6th at your local comic book shop, Saturday, May 6th. There's 45 comic books you can get absolutely free. Reminder, if you were looking forward to that Kodansha one about Miraculous Ladybug, that won't make it. It won't be there in time, but there's 45 other fantastic titles you can get. Star Wars, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Witcher, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's Archie, there's all kinds of stuff that if you're not like super into comics and this is where you want to start, there's tons of great starting places. Avengers, of course, will be there, Spider-Man, Venom. Marvel's got 4 books, so.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's very different for them. So.
They came to play this year.
Let's jump into things we saw this week.
Okay.
Right? So, I'm going to let you pick the topic, Ashton.
The Walking Dead.
Well,
yes.
We could talk about J.K. Rowling's financial stake in the Hogwarts game.
Oh, I saw that and was like, oh, girl. Oh.
Or we could talk about Leo DiCaprio's new girlfriend.
Also, oof.
Or we could just talk about the Michonne Rick spinoff.
Oof, magoof. Oh my God, I do need to point out the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. The age gap between him and his girlfriend is the same age gap between Pedro Pascal and
So I saw that, and the actress in on
I can't
Last
remember
of
her
Us.
name. Yeah, and I was like, oh man. So everyone that was real upset about that, y'all look goofy now.
Yeah. Oof. Oof. There you go. But yeah, I think for all our sakes, let's talk about Michonne Rick.
Yeah, literally. Just gonna skate past J.K. Rowling, because Lord.
Right, absolutely. Please do. Last week we were talking about why it would be wise to invest in Skybound, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we said is because Walking Dead ain't going nowhere. And here's proof positive, right? There's a Michonne Rick spinoff. Didn't Rick kill himself on the show? Didn't he die or something?
No, he gets thrown off a horse in battle and he falls on a piece of rebar. It goes through him kind of near his lungs. Okay. And then a helicopter comes in and saves him, takes him to another settlement, the Commonwealth, I believe. So he's not dead, but they didn't have the capacity to keep him alive at Alexandria, so he goes elsewhere. Michonne's around, so now they need to reunite. I mean, that was kind of always Scott and Gimple's angle, was there was going to be this trilogy of Rick stories that is what happens with Rick after he leaves his group. Like, where does he go? Who are those people? What happens to him? And then ultimately, how does he make it back to his people?
Oh, interesting. So wait, where are we in this trilogy then? Is this?
We haven't started it at all yet.
Oh, okay. So the first half was the original, 12 seasons of Walking Dead. That was the first trilogy, part of the trilogy. The second part is this spinoff? Is that what
Well, this would be the first part of the trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So the Rick spinoff is a 3-movie trilogy.
Oh, okay. Got you. So wait, are these movies?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. Actually.
I don't believe they're going to be theatrical releases. I believe they're going to be AMC feature-length films and debut on TV. But yeah.
All right, cool. Are you excited?
I'm hype.
Okay.
I love Rick.
So wait, didn't Rick die in the comic? Like, maybe I'm just making this up.
He dies in the comic.
Okay.
He doesn't die in the show.
Okay, all right. That's what I was wondering. I'm sitting there like, I know he died somewhere.
He died in the comics.
Okay, all right, there you go. I was like, I read something or watched something where he died. Okay, there you go.
Which is hilarious because they were coming up on their 200th issue, and Image, I got the impression that Image was maybe gearing up for that.
200, yeah.
And Kirkman did his thing and was like, 200? How about 193?
Right. I'm out. Bye.
Have a good one.
I mean, I know a lot of retail. I mean, like, I always appreciate the reason he did that, right? Because if people had known it was the big issue, they would have ordered big on it, even though they were already ordering big on Walking Dead as is. But they would order even bigger on it. And so what you kind of did is you kind of made this thing a highly collectible.
Yeah.
Right? And Image gets to go and make 1 million reprints, so I can't hate on it, so whatever. But okay. Do you
Comments.
Comments?
Oop, yeah, let me.
Yes? No?
Ubaldo's here.
Welcome back.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
everybody.
It's us. My kill from 26. Okay, simple.
Okay.
DJ Young, hey, and Annie Fox checking in. Hi there.
Hey, Annie Fox.
Gang's all here.
Yeah, everybody's here. We got and one new person, somebody new in the mix. Actually, I want to ask you this because I feel like every week you took us to task last week about superhero fatigue, right?
I did.
All right. Do you think there will ever be Walking Dead fatigue?
I think we kind of already experienced zombie fatigue in some capacity.
Okay.
Think about like The Walking Dead was like mega popular. I would say around like the time. When was the Governor season? That was like third, fourth season. That was like stupid popular. And there was also like Zombieland and World War Z and just like a bunch of zombie happening
all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then it kind of tapered off.
Dawn of the Dead? No, Dawn of the Dead was like before all that stuff. Yeah, like the remake. But yeah, there was like a nice lineup of zombie stuff at some point in time.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. Okay, all right. I mean, it's zombies. Like I kind of feel like they're going to kind of go. They'll never go completely out of fashion.
Yeah, they peak and crest.
Yeah, exactly. So just like superheroes, I think anyway. So
yeah.
Well, anyway, did you catch the Mario SNL skit?
Oh my God, I did. So grateful.
So there was some it was one of the best things ever. There was some concern about, I want to say it was with this season, about the mass exodus of talent from SNL.
Yeah, for sure.
Like right before this season, I want to say. And I think this episode, they really hit their stride, the new cast. Because I really felt this episode was hilarious. But this in particular was just money in the bank as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
I've told you this before. I told you this off camera. My favorite part is the toad sacrifice. I just think that is the most hilarious thing.
Can't dodge it.
Well, right, exactly. Like I like that. I just love that it's like a ton of post-apocalyptic tropes.
Yes.
Mixed in with the Mario lore. Like someone really did their homework to make these two things work perfectly.
I also appreciate that they've gone out of their way to make it like kind of Mad Maxy.
Yeah.
But also like some of the Mario stuff, they just like cram it in there. Like this banana, or like when she slaps the coin down, like you made no effort to make this anything other than exactly what it is.
Right, it's beautiful. Here goes the toad part. I don't know, we're gonna get in trouble for showing all this, Johnny? I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I thought that
is
was
on
great.
the Saturday Night Live YouTube channel.
That's
there
true.
you go.
There you go. We covered our butts. There you go. So on the SNL YouTube channel, I recommend if you're a video game person or just a nerd in general, or if you just grew up on Mario, which I feel like a lot of people did, you should check it out because that was absolutely hilarious. I kind of feel like the '90s movie was kind of what they did with this in a little bit. I don't know how much you remember about the '90s film.
None at all.
Okay, it's not. I actually have only seen bits and pieces of it in passing, so I might be talking completely out of my butt right now.
Okay, perfect, great.
But it was kind of. I don't know, Johnny. Back me up on this. It was kind of steampunk.
A little bit.
Steampunk Mario.
It was kind of steampunk. It kind of was.
A poor man steampunk.
Right. Yeah. And it was definitely a darker take. But it wasn't like I don't know, heavy. I guess is what I'm trying to go for, right?
No, definitely not.
Right, and Koopa was played by Dennis Hopper, which was kind of weird, and also kind of edgy. And he was kind of like this junkyard post-apocalyptic Morton Joe type character.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I don't know. Like, you guys let me know in the comments. I just kind of felt like that what they described in that skit was kind of like the '90s Mario.
It was that.
Right, yeah, just a little bit. It just kind of reminded me of a little bit.
We have a few more comments about the Walking Dead conversation.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
Annie's saying she's read the first Walking Dead omnibus. I've seen the entire Walking Dead series. Should I read the rest of the comics?
Ashton?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially as I'm not sure where the first omnibus ends because I think there's 3 omnibi. But especially as you get more towards Negan and everything that happens with their interaction with Negan, it's very different from the shows because Negan is so brutal, so vulgar. A lot of that stuff they can't recreate faithfully on cable television. So it will definitely be a different experience.
The beauty of comics.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And then we also have Stantastic Four saying, I think that zombie fatigue is the biggest threat to The Last of Us series falling off after 1 or 2 seasons.
That's fair.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if like part of it is like the excitement of like a new zombie thing somewhat removed from all of the previous zombie attempts combined with like an actually productive video game adaptation, but I wonder if those two things
might be too much for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, people are already starting to descend a little bit. I think somewhere around the 3rd episode.
I literally just heard the 3rd episode is the best episode.
I mean,
yet.
I mean that might be also true. I've only just watched the first 2, but like I imagine like I guess there was some interpretation in the story that people are like, oh, they veered too far away from the video game. I'm done.
I imagine people are upset about it because the 3rd episode has nothing to do with the video game. Like, it's not in the video game, which, like, chill. Give it a sec.
Yeah, just give it a sec.
You don't need to rage quit because you didn't like one
Right,
episode.
yeah. I mean, from my understanding, the creators of the show are really closely involved with it, too, which is actually interesting. All right, so sorry, guys. We're not going to talk about J.K. Rowling, Leonardo DiCaprio, but we are going to talk about comics. So here we go. We're going to give our picks this week. Ashton has hers. I've got mine. And then we're going to show you what's available at your local comic shop. Here's New Release Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start first because I am excited about this, and I also did 3. Don't make that face.
I was like, I'm gonna pick my book, and then there's like a cute little R2 piggy bank out this week. And I was like, I could pick this too, but I didn't, and I should have.
Whatever. You did like 2 last week, didn't you?
I did. I picked Girl last week and the comic book.
All right, so
fair. You got me there.
I'm gonna keep. So there was some good stuff out this week. I opted to focus on one, but I am going to mention the other 2 real quick. But before I get that, my main pick this week is a book that we showed the trailer on our show, and both of us were like, I love this. It's called How I Became a Shoplifter. It's from Sumerian Publishing. It's a 3-parter. Mm-hmm. Each issue has a different art team on it, which is also kind of interesting, right? Same writer, different art team.
Oh, like interior art's a different artist in each issue?
Yeah, each issue is a different artist in the interior. And yeah, this is 3 issues. It delivers a wild year-by-year look at the final generation of juvenile delinquents before technology took over.
Love that.
And the thing I love about this is like, it's kind of saying this without saying that it was a lot easier to get away with stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot easier to get in trouble before, the advent of smartphones, and also just surveillance in general became
CCTV
like
CCTV
all that stuff. But yeah, this is really focusing on that final generation of teenagers before they owned cell phones and weren't on social media during high school. Mm-hmm. Each chapter is set in a different year from 96 to 2003. So, and I just will make sure I shout out the creative team. Tom Brayfogle is the writer. There's artist Daniel Hilliard, Jordi Perez, and Gabriel Falzone, and Jenny Kukaj. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, if you want to go back to your unruly adolescence, I think this is a great book to read. It just looks fun. I mean, the first few preview pages open up with them at a Juggalo concert. So.
Nice.
So this is the type of story you're gonna get. And also I interviewed Brayfogle, the writer, around the time we showed the trailer for this. So if you get a chance, go read that interview because he gives more detail about why he's doing this and his own personal experiences and how they factor into the actual story itself. Also, Batman 132 is out this week. I love me some Batman right now. Don't always love Batman, but I love me some Batman right now.
Oh, that's a good cover.
That's the Joe Quesada cover. That I think we also featured that on the show a couple of weeks ago. This is some of Quesada's first work for DC in a very long time since he left Marvel. Also, I want to point out Michael Moshe of 2000 AD has a book called I Am the Law. And I think this is really cool because it takes key Judge Dredd stories from the last 45 years and kind of examines them alongside contemporary radical theories on policing. And I just think that's a really interesting concept. Like Judge Dredd and in larger media, right, outside of comics, you kind of have either the kind of goofy Stallone version or the really action-heavy, like Carl Urban version, right? But the comic version was kind of always satirical. And it was very scathing look at British politics and British policing in general. So I think it's cool that he's doing this right now.
Judge Dredd scares me.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a hero. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the weird thing that Hollywood has done to him. They've kind of made him into a hero, but he's not a hero.
Which misses the point entirely.
Yeah, it does in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, I like both of those movies, but it's not really what it's supposed to be. All right, I'll shut up. What is your pick this week?
That was very succinct, actually.
Thank you.
My pick this week, it's Dune again.
Okay.
More Dune crap. I'm going to force feed you guys this stuff. Okay, so my pick this week is Dune Waters of Conley. This is the hardcover collection. Pretty sure I picked Waters of Conley #1 when it first came out last year. And I'm going to pick it again, and I'm not sorry about that because I think this is a really, really good way to build on the Dune story more. So I think it's important to point out Conley is basically the rules of war in the Dune universe, like what constitutes acceptable behavior, what constitutes war crimes, crimes against humanity, all of that thing. So Conley is like that ruling structure, their war rules, basically. So this takes place after the Battle of Arrakeen, which is like the big battle that happens on Dune between like House Atreides and the Fremen and the Harkonnens. If you're following it through the movie, it hasn't happened yet. That's what part 2 is going to be about. So then this takes place after that, focuses on Gurney Halleck, who's Josh Brolin in the movies, again, if you're following it that way. And he kind of has a bone to pick with the Harkonnens, even though they win this war, he's like, I'm still angry.
Okay.
Which, valid, you're allowed to do that. So he goes on this mission of vengeance against House Harkonnen, and he also wants to take on the Spacing Guild itself, which is like a bad idea because it's kind of like the Emperor and the Death Star, and just like they have this iron grip on the galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Good luck to him. I believe in Gurney Halleck to do it, but that's a tall order. It's gonna be rough. But if you see the movies, you like the movies, if you want to read the book, I recommend you read the book. It is 600 pages, so it's an investment. But even if you see the movies, because I think it's a faithful recreation, I super recommend these Boom books across the board. All of the Dune books that Boom is taking on that rhymes, they do a really good job with it. They're written by Brian Herbert, which is Frank Herbert's son. He had access to all of his notes and all of his like kind of world building files. So they do a really good job of building it out and answering a lot of the questions you get from the movies. Like, why is House Atreides beefing with House Harkonnen? What happens afterwards? Like, why? Like, how did this character get to this point? They do a lot of that with the House Atreides books and now Waters of Conley and all of that.
That was definitely going to be my next question. Was like, wait, was this ever a book? But these are kind of original stories based off his notes.
Right.
So that's kind of cool, actually, that they're able to kind of continue on. And I mean, in that way, it's official canon, right? In a lot of ways, right?
For
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's actually pretty cool. I dig that. And I know Dune's got a bunch of other books Boom has a bunch of other books
I know.
from Dune.
There you go.
The World of
I know,
Dune,
God.
also available at your local comic shop right now. Johnny, I want to apologize to you. We glossed over your Scott Lang news piece.
We did.
That's fine.
Why do I feel like it's not fine?
I'm just going to sit here in the corner.
Do you want to talk about it or you want us to save it for news?
Okay.
No, it's fine. Hold on. Let me bring this up real quick.
I think this is interesting. I think this is cool.
We're going to come back to it in the after news, that little after news discussion.
Yeah,
thing.
we'll do that. Save it for a little bit later.
There you go. Ashton made the call. I like it. All right, so in that case, we're going to stick to talking about this week's comics. Here's Anamia with a rundown of the new releases available at your local comic shop. And when we come back, I'll tell you more.
Hey everyone, it's a new week and that means new comics. Let's take a look at some of the titles that you can pick up for the week of February 8th, 2023. For more info on these titles and others, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases and set foot on Previews World.
All right, and that's just some of what's available at your local comic shop this week. Of course, you can go to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases and see the full rundown of everything available at your local comic shop. And that's including toys, books, manga, like everything that's available potentially available at your local comic shop. Always make sure you go and check with your local comic shop to see if they have those things readily available. But if not, you can go to PREVIEWSworld.com/pullbox, place your orders, and then pick it up at your local comic shop after the fact. So there you go, 2 for 1. Boom, boom, boom.
Make it easy.
All right, so now we're going to get into some news. We're going to give you that Scott Lang piece we promised you as well. Ashton, take it away.
I got jump scared by Johnny not making a ridiculous comment.
Oh
in
yeah,
the news.
he was very quiet. Is that era over with Johnny?
That era's over.
Oh, wow. All right.
Boo.
End of an era.
Oh well. I was glad to have lived to it. To see it.
Me too. It was Johnny at his peak of the news era was really something to behold.
It was. It really was.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah, there was a part there where like we got to an area where Johnny was like, I'm stressed trying to figure out what to say. I'm like, okay, well that's how you know it's not fun anymore.
Right, yeah. That's true. It's a good reason to stop. That's fair.
Okay.
What's going on?
I'm gonna monologue for a moment here because there's a new Avatar: The Last Airbender comic coming.
Ooh,
I'm hype. Okay, so it's gonna be Azula allegedly, depending on the decisions she makes, Azula's redemption arc in the comics from Dark Horse Comics. It'll be called Avatar: The Last Airbender: Azula in the Spirit Temple. So to give some backstory here, you know, we all know that Azula is kind of like the main villain in the show. She wreaks a ton of havoc on the Avatar and Zuko and kind of undermines them every step of the way. And as she kind of progresses through the show, you can see her stability and her sanity kind of slipping. And that all culminates in the final Agni Kai against Zuko, where she has like a total just meltdown. So fast forward, these comics are canon and they function as sequels to the Avatar: The Last Airbender show. Cool. And so in the comics, Azula is not incarcerated anymore, so she's got some enough stability back to be, you know, free, have her freedom. But her whole new jam is like she's not done with Zuko. Like he's Fire Lord now, and she's trying to completely undermine him every step of the way. She's trying to destabilize the Fire Nation, destabilize the government. She's like doing just absolutely bonkers things in an attempt to undermine him. She's like kidnapping Fire Nation children and is like, this nation's not safe under Fire Lord Zuko. So she's a hot mess. So now Azula in the Spirit Temple. So here's what we got in terms of the solicit. Azula continues her destabilization campaign against the Fire Nation and her brother Fire Lord Zuko, but after a failed attack on her latest target, Azula finds herself in a mysterious forest temple inhabited by a solitary monk. What first seems like a place to safely pass the night is quickly revealed to be something horrifyingly different, and Azula is forced to confront her past and finally face a chance at redemption. So it could go one way or the other, whether or not she's gonna make that decision to be redeemed. I'd like to see her be redeemed. I think that could be really interesting. Because she's fallen so much farther than Zuko, so I think that there's a lot to play with in terms of that redemption arc. And she has sort of like a baby redemption when they go to find Zuko's mom, where she like teams up with the Avatar and Katara and Sokka and all them, but then is like off the rails the whole time then as well. So it could be interesting. This comes out later this year, September 27th, and it's worth mentioning it's the same creative team from the Suki Alone graphic novel that came out last year, which was very, very well received.
Okay, no, shout out to Dark Horse for continuing these. I wasn't 100% sure if these were actually falling in line with the rest of the series. Like, you know, sometimes they do comics and it's like, it might be part of the franchise, it might not. But this is cool that it is. Weren't they supposed to do like some animated movies?
They're working on them.
Okay, so they're still working on them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was wondering about that.
Because the creative team was working, the original creative team was working with Netflix. They were going to do the live action, and then Netflix, as they are apt to do, veered a little too far. And the creative team was like, I'm good, homie, peace. We're going to go do our own thing over here.
Oh, so they killed the Netflix show.
No, they're still doing it. Yup.
Ugh. That's rough.
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay, good to know. Well, I'm glad that they got a second shot at least. What else is going on in the world of nerddom?
Oh, right.
I'm stealing that. There you go.
Okay, it's all yours. All right, Image Comics is out here doing music videos apparently.
That's right, yeah.
So they've partnered with the band Alice to create a music video trailer for their upcoming graphic novel. Well, I guess it's not a graphic novel; it's a trade. The Dead Lucky Volume 1. So Alice is kind of I guess their sound would be best described as a blend of electronic dance, dark wave, and rock. And so they're kind of creating the backing track here for this music video of The Dead Lucky, which is sort of this like futuristic sci-fi jam where there's technology companies buying up land, then the land is being guarded by robots, and there's a veteran maybe suffering from PTSD who is tasked with bringing down the robots and the corporation buying up land and figuring out why they're even trying to get all this land in the first place. But this is a really interesting take. I mean, we've seen, like you've talked about with Ninja Funk, music is kind of becoming more and more of a part of the comic book experience.
100%, yeah.
I think this is an interesting take on that. It's also worth mentioning the video's out now. Obviously, we're showing it here on their YouTube, and Dead Lucky Volume 1 will be out next month, March 22nd.
No, that is cool. It kind of, in a loose way, reminds me of Todd McFarlane's Corn Freak on a Leash video. Like, it just kind of calls to mind that. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I don't.
But
Todd McFarlane's done a lot.
He's done a lot, yeah. I mean, it was kind of everywhere, though. I'm surprised you don't remember that one. But, like, it was, like, late 90s, I want to say. Like, like late 90s. But, like...
That's probably because I was a small child in the late 90s.
Oh, yeah. I guess you would have been. Never mind. Forget it. Forget it. Johnny, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I 100% know what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
I do not.
The main reason I remember that is because the cover for that album, I think, was done by Greg Capullo.
Yes, it was. That's right. Yeah. And I guess the artwork was actually done by Capullo, not McFarlane, now that I think about it. But yeah, I mean, it was just, it's an Image book and they got a music video for it. It just kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But I guess technically Image has a history of doing stuff like this if you really want to connect some dots there. But
it's a great idea.
It's a great idea. Like, I'm all for, like, kind of finding new ways to promote comics that aren't the, like, typical way, you know? So I want to talk about Ho Chi Anderson's Luke Cage book, because I was thoroughly disappointed about this. And I didn't realize it had been canceled. So Ho Chi Anderson is...
what's the backstory here?
Yeah, let's give you a backstory here. Ho Chi Anderson, so back in 2021, Marvel announced a 3-issue Luke Cage City of Fire miniseries. And it was from writer Ho Chi Anderson, and it had a rotating team of artists. And two of which I'm, like, very familiar with, and I would have loved to have seen them do Luke Cage. But Marvel abruptly canceled the miniseries less than 2 weeks before the release of the first issue. Now, why is that, right? Well, CBR got to talk to Anderson on the record about the cancellation of the book just this past week. And actually, I want to point out...
So a full year later.
A full year later, right.
Okay.
And I want to point out, actually, it's also Black History Month, so I think it's really interesting that they dropped this now.
Yeah, they probably had that in the chamber.
They probably had the chamber, right, exactly. But basically, he said Marvel was concerned for his safety in light of the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Anderson does express doubt over that explanation to him. I'll let you guys decide if you want to do that. I think Ashton's already decided. But, I hate this. I really do, because, like, we've been locked into this goofy discourse, right? These last couple of years about politics and comics, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like it's finally starting to taper off. It feels like it to me. Like it's finally starting to taper off.
From where it was, definitely.
Yeah, from where it was, exactly. It's still people still having this conversation, but it's not like as vitriolic as it was like a couple of years ago. And we've been, but this is kind of what happens when the wrong people contaminate a conversation. This is how I feel. Okay. And ultimately, no one wins. That's kind of like my takeaway from this, because the corporation gets scared, right, to tackle any topic, and then you have like two camps outside of the corporation, right, that also are like just warring about this, right? And in this particular case, you have the free speech people, the people who are like free speech at all costs, right?
Right.
And then you have the people that are like, everything is political, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't agree 100% with either one of those groups.
Right.
But in the end, everybody loses.
Yeah.
Because you don't get this artistic expression from this guy, right? Who was doing this piece about, I forgot to point this out. It actually is, the story is about, the way it's described, at least in the CBR article, is what if Luke Cage was hired by the mother of George Floyd to protect Derek Chauvin?
Ooh.
Yeah. It's got some interesting layers to it, and I would have been really into seeing where how that plays out, what that looks like, But yeah, I mean, everybody lost, and now Troy doesn't get to read a Luke Cage comic. So there's also that.
It just seems completely counterproductive across the board. Like comic books, traditional prose books, art, like fine art, painting, all of that. Any sort of art is about making commentary. And it doesn't always need to be political, but it's about taking the way you feel about something and channeling it. So like when you force your opinion onto someone else, then you've ruined art. Way to go.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point to make. Forcing your opinion on someone else, right? Because I've said this on the show before. We've talked about this on the show. My attitude is always that ultimately what the piece of art is about is what the creator says it's about.
Yes.
Now I know there are people that do not agree with it. I know there are people who do not agree with me. You know, and and those people come from every corner of the internet, from, you know, everything's political, no matter what it is, to the slash fiction people. Like, they don't agree with me either, right?
Nice.
But at the same time, like, yeah, I just kind of always had the attitude of, you know, forcing your take onto this thing kind of devalues the author itself. And ultimately, I'm here for the author's expression, not yours.
Right. And it's okay to have a different experience with
Yeah,
it and to have your own interpretation. And, like, by all means, do that. I think there is value in that. But when it stops becoming productive is, like you said, when you decide that's the only iteration of that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I just, I don't know, that kind of bummed me out to read that, because I was curious about the book when I first heard it was coming out, and I was like, oh, I'll pick this up when it comes out, and then I just didn't hear about it again. I was like, oh, truthfully, it like left my mind.
Sure.
You know, it could have been anything from, like, I missed it and I'll go pick it up later, to oh, maybe I missed it when it came out. Maybe it's supposed to come out this year, but now it's just not coming out. I hope Marvel changes their mind on this. I hope Marvel, at the very least, is honest about this approach of, okay, we were concerned about this guy's safety, because creators do get threatened. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
About, like, any number of things, right? From you kill Gwen Stacy, I'm going to kill you.
Seems like a big reaction.
Yeah, right. A big reaction to, like, you know, oh, you're a woman writing this comic, how dare you? I mean, it could be all sorts of stuff, right? But we'll see. Like, I just hope that they kind of dial back and decide to release this thing, because it sounded interesting.
Also, there's been enough time between that event and now that maybe it's not as incendiary.
Yeah, exactly. He's running free anyway, right now, so whatever. All right, let's jump topics again, right? Let's get into a trailer for this week. This is Bash, and then when we come back, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Check out this trailer. All right, and that's that's Bash from Titan Comics. It's described as an anime-influenced basketball adventure across the cosmos, which is kind of fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, actually, now I think about it, that sounds like Space Jam, doesn't it?
It is. Let's get LeBron in here.
Let's get LeBron in here. Basically, the concept is young Rudy comes from the poor neighborhood of Navilia, but dreams of being a star of Bash, a brutal, high-octane version of basketball, and his talent might just make it happen, but can he make it while threats come from every corner of the galaxy? So I think, you know, it says anime influence. The anime manga world, right, has an entire category of sports shonen, right? Which are sometimes over the top, or always over the top, truthfully.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it could be anything from Baki the Grappler to, like, there was one about tennis that was way intense.
All right.
I mean, it gets into Dragon Ball Z levels of intensity sometimes in these sports manga, right? Slam Dunk's another one I can think of. And I feel like this is definitely an homage to that. And yeah, that's available to pre-order now from Titan Comics. So look for it inside the previews catalog.
I hope it's like the Harlem Globetrotters meets Space Jam.
You know, we actually need that. I feel like we need that now, actually. I didn't think about that. That's a good combination of things.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah, I'm into that. That's a missed opportunity. Oh, you know what? And on top of that, well, no, wait. I was about to say something completely wrong. But I know there was a Harlem Globetrotters Scooby-Doo thing.
That makes sense.
Right.
Somehow that makes perfect sense.
There was
that was like back in the 70s?
That was back in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going to say Warner Brothers owns Scooby-Doo. They own Space Jam. This isn't a good excuse to make this happen with the Harlem Globetrotters. That's all I'm going to say.
Hello, Warner?
Hello, Warner. Get in there.
Let's do it.
Are we ready? I have no idea what this week's Asinine Arguments is.
I would like to let you know that I thought of this week's Asinine Arguments inside of 3 minutes. Didn't think at all how it would go over as a discussion topic and just threw it up on Twitter. So it's either going to be very interesting or incredibly boring. Let's find out.
Okay, let's find out. Here we go, Asinine Arguments.
All right, so this week I'm worried about the furry companions that have to do the legwork on all of these teams. They're really the unsung heroes.
Oh, okay. I think I understand what you mean here.
So I asked you guys which furry companion saves their friends' butts the most. Your choices are Appa, Chewbacca, Rocket Raccoon, or Scooby.
We were just talking about Scooby-Doo, so there you go. That's perfect. Interesting. Oh man, that saves it. Well, Scooby doesn't save crap. He doesn't save nothing. Like Scooby's a coward. That's kind of his shtick, right? You know what?
What? Slander.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo slander.
He doesn't save anything. Like, I mean, whatever. Oh well, man, Chewie's on there though. And we just talked last week about how everybody wants Chewie to be their best friend.
Yeah.
I got a soft spot for Appa. Even despite someone who hasn't watched all of Avatar, I love the character of Appa for some reason. He gives me Chewie vibes as well.
He does. I can see that. I can see that.
Rocket Raccoon's just a jerk. So I'm gonna say Chewie. Johnny, what are you gonna say?
I'm saying Scooby.
Oh, really?
He's been around longer.
Lots of opportunities.
Just because of seniority?
Yes. What's the question? Who do you think has saved their friends' butts the most?
He's got
Who's
the
been
most.
around the longest?
Okay. Johnny did the math.
On the technicality.
Okay, all right. I see what you did there.
I would
Fair
say
enough.
Appa, just because there's absolutely no way Aang lives to fight Fire Lord Ozai without Appa.
Okay.
Dude should have died like 7 times throughout that series.
I dig that. I'm with that. Although I will argue, in Scooby-Doo's 50 years of
Probably
existing.
plus, yeah.
Like, I mean, I just made that number up, but in his 50 years of existing, I don't feel like he's ever saved anything.
He does goofy things. He'll you know what's
He'll stumble into a rescue.
I was about to say the accidental save.
That's true. Yeah. He will stumble into a rescue. Okay. All right. Okay. I take it back. Sorry for the Scooby slander, guys.
I also just remembered that Rocket.
Fantastic Four saying, who hasn't Chewie saved? Fred, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy.
Boo.
How many times has Scooby saved Han?
True. Or the Rebels.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Or my beloved R2-D2.
Good point. I'm just saying. I'm Team Chewie on this. But what does the internet say? They're never wrong.
We don't have any comments, but so what are we voting on here? What are we saying?
Go with Scooby. Let's see what Scooby is.
All right. 27, but Chewie's leading by 28.4.
This is pretty tight.
And Appa's at 27 also.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
It might be the closest thing you've ever, the closest poll we've ever had.
Even Rocket's kind of up there, really. Okay, I'm surprised. Huh. All right. I mean, those are good choices. Those are actually really good choices.
Thank you.
Like Rocket Raccoon does come in and make the save and kind of will openly make credit for it.
That's the thing. He's so cocky.
He's so arrogant. But okay, I like that. That was a good one. I love that.
Yeah, but Rocket also stole the Enulax batteries,
He did.
putting his friends in danger.
They're called harbulary batteries.
That's not at all like what I said.
All right, no, that was a good one, Ashton. Shout out to you.
Thank you.
What is this week's comic shop shout out?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to Beachhead Comics in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It comes from Beth Johnson. We'll show you some pictures from the inside of Beachhead Comics. You can check out their shop during the credits roll. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name. And use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your local comic book shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
Woo, man. Every week. Just nails it.
clockwork.
It's impressive. I love it. Here's your reminder. Man, this show is short. I felt like, God, it does not feel. We're at 40 minutes.
Wow. Should I say something incendiary?
Yes, please.
Just launch into a
Tell us your opinions about. No, I'm not going to do that again.
15-minute debate about some asinine side quest.
Actually, that back and forth asinine argument probably could have been a little bit longer. Actually, now that I think about it, because those were some good choices. I really thought that was really cool.
Figured I'd go for one that made sense this week, since the last couple weeks I've been just like bonkers.
That's true. You've been swinging for the
weirdness.
fences and just see where it hits. This is your reminder to like, follow, and subscribe. I don't know why I forgot about that quick. But yes, this is your reminder. This is my reminder to remind you to like, follow, and subscribe. So that subscribe. You can hang out with me over at PREVIEWSworld.
I just looked straight into the studio lights and now I'm blind.
Oh God. And you can hang out with me at PREVIEWSworld, and you can hang out with Ashton at
Free Comic Book Day, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
There you go. She might not see you at this point, but that's okay.
You'll see me, but I won't see you.
Real quick, I want to remind you guys that it is Black History Month one more time, and so we're doing a bunch of we're actually resurrecting some previous interviews we've done with people last year, and then we're going to be doing some new ones. I got one with Rodney Barnes this upcoming week for Blackula, but we have an entire Black History Month section on our website that includes some recommendations to celebrate. Of course, this isn't necessarily Black history, but it is highlighting Black creators and their works on top of that. Friday Foster, I cannot recommend enough. That is a piece of Black history that has kind of fallen down the memory hole a little bit. It was a Sunday strips. It was a Sunday comic strip that ended up becoming a movie. It was that popular, and it was really cool to see that Ablaze went ahead and reprinted those comic strips. She's like a jet-setting model photographer, who just gets into all sorts of trouble. Right?
I'm about it.
She ends up in like all sorts of crime and all this crime games and whatnot, spy games, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, definitely check that out. That's on our website right now. Scroll to the bottom, just go to the Black History Month section. I'll also be posting reminders throughout the month that is up on our website. Also, I didn't point this out last week. Mother Nature is actually a new comic book, graphic novel by Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, right.
All right. What's it about?
So this is from Titan, and I think, actually it says it right there, it's going to be a motion picture soon, right?
She's on a roll lately.
She is on a roll, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting because it deals with pollution. So, and I think there's definitely doing the interview, like you kind of get the impression this is something that's very strong and very close to her heart. This is something she really cares about, and she wanted to do a comic about it. So this is coming out from Titan right now. It's written by her and the director of the upcoming film as well. So definitely check that out.
The director was a writer on this?
He was a writer on this.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
There he is. And so, definitely check that out because unexpected, but something that fell into my lap. I did not do the interview. I did not get to talk to Jamie Lee Curtis, unfortunately. But you don't want me to do that because all my questions have been about True Lies. So, it's available to pre-order right now through the February previews catalogs, so definitely check it out. And man, 44 minutes. We've been running so long these last couple of weeks that I just did not expect to look down and be like, we're at the 40-minute mark.
We've reclaimed our time.
We've reclaimed our time. There you go.
We can do a side quest about Johnny's Scott. We never did talk about Johnny's book.
Oh my God, Johnny, put us on to Scott Lang, please. I'm so sorry.
Seriously?
We've got 15 minutes.
Come on, Johnny, give it to us.
I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Oh, boo.
I'm just kidding.
I love the commitment to that too. I really thought we were done.
Reddit's rolling everything.
I was like, we pissed Johnny off. Sorry, Johnny.
I'm
It's
perfectly
cool.
fine.
Oh.
No.
We're
It's fine.
sorry.
No, this is just one of those things that I thought was kind of interesting. I saw it on the internet. So basically, Quantum Mania is coming out next weekend, which I'm excited for.
Oh my
because-
God, really?
Yeah, it's the 17th, I believe.
Okay, wow.
So
All
a week
right.
from this coming Friday.
Okay.
And I'm excited because it's kicking off Phase 5 of the MCU. It's introducing officially the new big bad to the MCU, Kang
Right.
the Conqueror. I mean, we saw a little bit of him in Loki Season 1, but now we're going to see the actual Kang the Conqueror. So, but in the movie, apparently, there is let me find the graphic here. Yeah, there's a book that's coming out. That's actually part of the movie. Scott Lang writes a memoir called Look Out for the Little Guy,
Which I love.
which is
Clever.
amazing titling. I think that's incredible. But they are actually printing this into an actual book that you can go out and buy and read.
That is nuts. I love that actually, and I definitely, when you mentioned this yesterday, I was like, I love the idea of someone doing a memoir of their experiences in the MCU. I think that's fantastic actually. So it's not a straight up like,
Where are they going to shelve this?
Right, yeah, true. Like, it's not a straight up biography, but like, what is, you said there's like little short stories in it or something like that?
Yeah, I think there's about like 20 short, not shorts. I mean, if you look at the thickness of the book there, it's a sizable book. But there's like 20 or so chapters that have to do with like Scott as an Avenger or Scott as a father and stuff like that. So
I kind of love that.
I'm excited to see this just because of the fact that like this, I'm assuming, adds another level of canon to the MCU in like print format. So there'd be like little details in there to like just kind of expand the story, and just I just think that's really clever. And my question to you is though, would you like to see more of these things? Like, would you like to see an autobiography by Thor or
No, by Spider-Man.
Spider-Man or something like that? I mean, I could see this like spawning into like a whole series of books.
Oh yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
want a memoir by Spider-Man, written by Peter Parker, with very little editing done to it. Just like no one's bothered to proofread his book.
Can we just get Spider-Man's journal? Like,
Right.
Like his classroom journal. You have to do
doodle
journals
in the
school.
margins.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I was just thinking, like, I would love to get like a, I don't know how you would do what you would call this, but like a book that's just J. Jonah Jameson's take on Spider-Man.
Oh,
You know
how
what I
would
mean?
you do that?
Like, I mean, it's like it would
that would be cool.
It would be like any, like when reporters do like
Yeah.
entire novels about a particular topic. It would be something like, I forget what the actual name is for that, but like
Like an op-ed?
No, I don't think it's an op-ed. There's definitely a term for those type of books. I can't remember what it is, but like, yeah, just a whole thing from J. Jonah Jameson about Spider-Man.
Let's do it.
I love that.
Full
I think
send.
that would be great. I'm way into that. Yeah, I would like to see more of these. I think that would be cool. I wish we could. I guess we could still get a Captain America one if we wanted to. I think that would be cool. Or a Peggy Carter one. I think that would be cool as well.
I mean, weren't they
It's
going to
really
make like
knocking
an
on
actual
things.
Rogers the musical?
What?
Weren't they going to make an actual Rogers the musical
Oh yeah, they were. weren't
from the
they?
MCU?
Yeah,
like
they were.
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I feel like Spider-Man on Broadway is all the reasons why we should just pass on that.
Oh, actually, I talked to. I interviewed Brian Michael Bendis, and he was the writer on that. Was it Turn Off the Lights? The Spider-Man Broadway thing?
It was Turn Off the Dark.
Turn Off
Yeah,
the
I
Dark.
was like, turn off the lights doesn't sound quite right.
No. Yeah, it was the Spider-Man Broadway thing. He said he was doing an entire book about his experience writing for that, which I think is actually kind of interesting.
Oh, I'd read it.
I'm very curious about that. I think
I
that'd be
would read
really
that.
interesting. For someone who loves behind-the-scenes documentaries on Blu-rays, like that's the type of stuff I live for.
I
so.
hope there's like an entire chapter about people in broken harnesses and falling from the
falling-
rafters.
Nearly escaping death, yes. Absolutely.
I also think that the book that I would love to see, and this is also in the Ant-Man realm, is an autobiography by Michael Peña's character, Louise. Like, yeah, so there was this one time, and this guy went over here, and like the entire novel is just like one big gigantic run-on sentence.
I would love that. It's just no paragraphs. It's just page after page of just block text. I actually would love that too. That'd be great. I hope there's a chapter written by Luis in that Ant-Man book. I would love that. Anyway, all right. We killed enough time, I guess. That is it.
Yeah. I mean, we already did the like, follow, subscribe
We did.
thing.
We told you what to look at on the website. You want to remind people what Free Comic Book Day is what?
May 6th.
Okay, there you go. And that is it for Previews World Weekly.
Again.
One of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And we see all of you at the Spinner Rack. Catch you guys later.
Be sure to pick up a copy of this month's previews catalog to see all the amazing pop culture goodies that you can pre-order at your friendly local comic shop.